We begin with the latest in our monthly series, Chatting with the Chancellor. Last week, I sat down for a one-on-one conversation with Dr. Robert Dooley, Interim Chancellor here on our campus, the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga, and the Dean of the Gary W. Rollins College of Business. Our conversations with Dr. Dooley, which air the third Tuesday of each month here on Scenic Roots, are recorded in the podcasting space at the Rollins College in Fletcher Hall. Chancellor Dooley, thanks for joining us.
Glad to be here.
We have a new chancellor here at UTC, Dr. Lori Mann Bruce, coming on board this summer. Tell us more about her.
Yes, we do. Very excited. She brings a tremendous amount of leadership experience in higher education, a long career at Mississippi State, and then now as provost, I think, for the past 6 years at Tennessee Tech. Very excited. Engineering background, which I think is really great given the opportunities in the city around STEM and quantum and mobility. So I think that's a great background as well and a good fit for the community.
Talk about some of your own impressions of her.
I met her for the first time during the interview process. What I was most impressed with was how engaging she was. She's going to really engage well with students. She's very likable, for lack of a better term, very good personality, super engaging, relaxed. But I was super impressed with her open forum. I thought she handled the questions with a lot of skill, and I think she was spot on in her answers and the way she handled some difficult questions about higher education.
And she's going to jump right in. This is a very accelerated process, which we've all been through as an institution.
It is. The process started in mid-January, so it's been a very accelerated process. But we had a really strong candidate pool, and I think the best candidate definitely rose to the top.
And then she will come on board officially July 1st, start of the fiscal year, or before that?
I think she actually will start June 30th, first day of our Board of Trustees meeting here in UTC.
Let's talk about the recent commencement here on campus.
To be honest, that's one of the highlights of my career. That was so much fun to engage with the students and interact with the students as interim chancellor. I can't say that my hand wasn't a little sore afterwards, but shook about 1,200 hands. But it was a good day. Commencement's always a good day. So a little rainy, but that didn't dampen the spirits. And we had 2 outstanding commencement speakers, both alums. So Dr. Tyler Forrest, the president of Tennessee Wesleyan University, spoke at the graduate commencement on Friday afternoon. And then we had Cindy Monroe, the CEO and founder of 31 Gifts, a highly successful woman entrepreneur who's a graduate of the college as well, speak at both undergraduate commencements, and had some really strong words of encouragement and motivation for the undergraduates. She did an excellent job.
What do you think some of what they said might resonate the most with this group of graduating students, especially coming into the economy where it is at this time, where the nation is, where the world is?
Yeah, I think what resonated with me with both of them, and they spoke a little bit about this, was overcoming obstacles and not viewing obstacles as something that's in your way, but view them as an opportunity and a learning experience and a growth experience. And I think today's graduates are entering an environment where they're going to be faced with some new obstacles that many of us haven't faced in the past. So I think that was a really good takeaway for them to hear, right? When an obstacle, it's not something that's a stop. It's just a sit back, reflect, and think about how you can overcome the obstacle and use it to your advantage as an opportunity.
That's also true when we talk about higher education, whether we're talking about enrollment goals, we're talking about the focus of programs, or just navigating construction with various projects on campus.
Yes, that's exactly right. Look at them as opportunities and look at them as future growth, right? Fletcher Hall being case in point with Oak Street and Douglas closed down.
Let's talk about the gift from Max Fuller for UTC's Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship, now named for him.
Max Fuller, a graduate from the College of Business, longtime successful entrepreneur in Chattanooga. Most people probably know Max from U.S. Express, which is the company he founded and built and then recently sold in the past couple of years. He's got a couple of other businesses here in town. Transcard has a fairly substantial presence downtown. Freightwaves, as well as another entrepreneurial venture that Max is involved with his sons. And that's really turning into a media company, which is fascinating. Different story for a different time. But can't think of anyone to honor their legacy more than Max Fuller to name the Center of Innovation and Entrepreneurship. So we had a really good day on campus a few weeks ago. It was kind of a low-key event. He wanted it that way, but it was in the center. We had an unveiling of the signage, but time with Max, and he basically spent time with students for a couple of hours. We had lunch. He had a conversation with them back and forth, him talking about his journey and about entrepreneurship, and just thrilled to have his name on the Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship. When the new building is built, and opened in 28. We'll move that center into the new building, and we'll have another event there at that time.
The expansion of where we're speaking right now, Fletcher Hall.
Yes, correct.
How will this gift take the center to the next level in all that it does?
We talked about that with Max actually beforehand. The day of the lunch, we talked about a lot about how this was going to elevate what's going on in the center. One of the things Max talked about was creating a venture fund for students. And so is there a possibility here with some of the dollars that he's donated to create a venture fund where students are actually investing in entrepreneurial startups and learning the process of investing into entrepreneurial startups and what that means? So I think that's an exciting opportunity. We're exploring that and how that might be structured. This will allow us to expand programming across campus. So we've got programming in various parts of campus, but this will allow us to extend it out even further. Most of the students that come through our center aren't business students anyway. They're from other parts of campus. Entrepreneurs come from everywhere. So this will allow us to do more programming and reaching out across campus. So those are two areas that we're really excited about.
I've had a chance to speak with Dr. Tom Lyons and also Mike Bradshaw about this on Scenic Roots. They're excited, and it's just a reminder of how this center, the work that it has already done, it's another example of how this campus engages with the community beyond.
It is. As a matter of fact, I had a meeting earlier today with the mayor, Tim Kelly. There's going to be an opportunity for us to engage on Martin Luther King Boulevard with some work they're doing around entrepreneurship, and we were talking about what that might look like. So we continue to find opportunities to engage in the community, support the community, whether it's UVI, Urban Vision Initiative, which focuses on inner city entrepreneurs, or Veterans Entrepreneurship Programs coming up on its, let's say, 14th year this year. Got 23 veterans that'll be on campus in July. Excited about that. So entrepreneurship engages with the community in a lot of ways and really provides support. Like, it's not research per se, it's really helping people dig in and move their venture ideas forward. So it's really hands-on support that has tangible outcomes when you see these individuals launch a business and start generating income off of their entrepreneurial idea.
But the wind at the back of all that is the institution, the university, and all that it can uniquely provide.
Yes, exactly. And Max's investment in the center will just continue to help us drive these programs.
You mentioned this earlier, and I did want to touch on it. We'll just jump to it now. The Veterans Entrepreneurship Program. Talk more about what that is, what that does, its impact.
Give it a little context and history. My time at Oklahoma State, we launched the Veterans Entrepreneurship Program under the leadership of a faculty member named Dr. Mike Morris. Dr. Morris is now at the University of Notre Dame, but when I left Oklahoma State and came to Chattanooga, I asked Dr. Morris if he would help us launch a similar program here. He graciously agreed to do that, and so in 2012, I think we had our first cohort of veterans for the Veterans Entrepreneurship Program, and have had a cohort every year except for the year of COVID, which when we suspended the program for 1 year. But essentially what it is it focuses on veterans who want to start their own business or their own venture. We have veterans that have very nascent ideas. We have some that come through that are a little bit more developed in their idea stage, but we have a national recruiting process. We accept up to 20 veterans every year, free of charge. We raise the money. It's about $4,000 a veteran to support them. Once the cohort is accepted, they start an online program in early June with faculty, basically critiquing each other's business ideas, learning some basic fundamentals that they need to have a good grasp on to be successful entrepreneurs. And then we bring them to campus the last week of July for our VEP boot camp, where they stay in Chattanooga and they work from sun up to sundown with our faculty, entrepreneurs in the community. We have some fun along the way as well. A lot of late nights. The hotels that they stay at graciously gives us the presidential suite. So after dinner, we'll adjourn back there and we'll sit up there till midnight talking about their business ideas and working with them, and culminates in a pitch on that Saturday. There's some financial support that comes from that as well. And then we have a graduation Saturday night at the Hunter Museum.
That's one of those things that puts the university on the map, especially in a community that is so devoted, as you and I and so many people listening to us know, is so devoted to veterans.
Yeah, and I do want to say big thanks to Mike and Amy Walden Security. They are our lead sponsor on this, so we raise money around their lead gift. Mike and Amy have been supportive of this from the very beginning and continue to invest in it. We really appreciate their support.
We're speaking with Dr. Robert Dooley, Interim Chancellor here at UTC and the Dean of the Gary W. Rollins College of Business, for our monthly series, Chatting with the Chancellor. This conversation was recorded last week. And since the last time we spoke, the Mocs basketball team earned a title.
Oh, yeah, that was fun.
The NIT title.
That was fun. Yeah, incredible. Just what an incredible season and what an incredible run in the NIT to be an unseeded team and to make it all the way to the finals and then win the final game. I was fortunate to attend both the semifinals and the final game. Semifinals, we had a pretty good handle on that game most of the way through it. The final went down to the last shot. Just incredible. So happy for the university, happy for the coach, really happy for the players. The community support's been terrific for them. We had a great pep rally and kind of parade route a few weeks ago down at Miller Plaza. We had a really good turnout from the city. It just created a lot of energy and a lot of excitement around UTC athletics, and our basketball program.
And it's one of those achievements that will reverberate for years to come. The "were you there when this happened" moment.
You're exactly right. In fact, I'm already hearing some of that. I think, it's probably one of the bigger athletic accomplishments in quite a long time here at UTC, right? If I go back to the 70s when I was here, we had a coach named Murray Arnold that was successful, took some teams to the Sweet 16. But this is probably as big a basketball accomplishment as ever in the history of the university.
We have a new dean for UTC's College of Engineering and Computer Science.
We do. That search, we've had Dr. Ahad Nassab has been serving as interim, and I want to thank him for his service in that role. But we launched that search in the fall, and so it was a second search. The first search was a couple of years ago, and it got postponed or delayed. So we launched it again in the fall. Interestingly, he's from Tennessee Tech as well. So he knows our incoming chancellor. The incoming chancellor speaks very, very highly of this individual, of our new incoming dean. I think he's going to be a good fit for the community, and we're really excited to have him.
And this all falls in line not only with the new chancellor, but UTC's efforts, UT system efforts to just keep raising the bar of how this institution is committed to research and reaching for that next level of classification.
Yes, that's front and center of our strategic plan is R2 classification by 2030 is an aspirational goal for us. And this is part of that process, right, is hiring the right people to help drive that. A lot of that research activity will come from the STEM fields. We're in the process of submitting the letter of notification for a PhD in quantum engineering or quantum computation.
Titles might still be in flux.
Exactly. So that's part of it. We also have another PhD program around mobility, which is autonomous vehicles, and Dr. Mina Sartipi's work with the Urban Informatics Center. So when the Board of Trustees are here in June 30th, we're having lunch down at Dr. Sartipi's center at the Edney and have an opportunity for them to engage with her and engage with Dr. Mukherjee on our quantum initiatives as well.
Talk more about some of the other goals in the strategic enrollment plan.
The first goal, we have 5 pillars. See if I can remember the 5 pillars, but we have 5 pillars. The first pillar is really student success and engagement. So the primary goal there is enrollment, and the enrollment target of 14,800 by 2030. We've got some very aggressive retention goals as well. So that's exciting. The second pillar is around faculty and staff. We can't accomplish anything without having a strong faculty and staff. And so how do we maintain a culture that supports them? How do we financially support them? So that's a primary goal as well. Research, R2 status, community engagement, and then economic development.
And how does UTC stack up compared to other institutions within the UT system or within Tennessee when it comes to what we're aiming for here?
Well, we benchmarked the other institutions in the state, actually, when we were developing our plan, in particular focusing on the sister schools, right? UT, Knoxville, Southern, Martin, and what their plans look like, and then making sure we aligned with the UT system plan as well. I think we're doing well. One of the challenges we faced, and I'm not exactly sure why, of all the UT system schools, our retention rate's lower than our sister schools at Knoxville, Martin, and Southern. But I think we're going to see an uptick in retention for this fall with some initiatives that we've put in place. We put together a couple of task force focused on retention that we'll present to the new chancellor, so they'll kind of have some background and data points that they can take a look at with respect to retention. Our enrollment, and the new chancellor pointed this out, but it's true, it's been relatively flat for probably the past decade. I mean, we've gone up a little bit, down a little bit, but it's relatively flat. So there's a lot of opportunity here. I'm excited about what the future holds.
Let's talk about Chattanooga's Forgotten, UTC students calling on City Hall here in Chattanooga for an initiative on safer streets.
So this was an Innovation and Honors program out of the Honors College, and the Innovation and Honors program is, I think, unique in the fact that the program itself, cohorts of students focus on community problems and solving community problems. This was, I think, led by Dr. Ward out of sociology. She's an urbanist. These students working with Dr. Ward focused on Oak Grove neighborhood, taking a look at what's the infrastructure there in that neighborhood, and then what is it really that the residents in that neighborhood need or want. And what they found was pretty substantial underinvestment in the Oak Grove neighborhood relative to other neighborhoods in the city. Sidewalks in disrepair, no wayfinding. So they worked and put together a presentation and a program for improvement that they presented to the city. The city, I think, received it well and has made some commitments going forward to address those needs in that neighborhood. We're talking about green space, parks, benches, sidewalks, wayfinding, signs, just to make it more walkable and more neighborhood friendly.
That's the thing that continues to strike me about Chattanooga. It's described as a mid-sized city, but it also has the feeling of a big, small town. And so when it comes to a project such as this, we're just the right size for it to be hands-on and lead to some tangible analysis, some tangible solutions.
I think you're correct. We're engaged as an institution heavily with the community anyway, but I think what's interesting about this is the partnership that we've developed with both Mayor's office in Hamilton County and with Tim Kelly, their willingness to support these projects as these students are working on, give them a forum to present, and then actually take what the students are, the research that they're conducting, and take a serious look at it and make investments. So I think that's unique. You certainly wouldn't have that in a very large city, I don't think.
Not in New York, not like this.
No, not at all.
Let's talk about your recent experience at our radio station. And as we're recording this in the podcasting space here in Fletcher Hall, just hours after a recording experience you had over at WUTC.
Yeah, so DJ'd for an hour this morning. It will air on June 7th at 9 p.m. But Scott Kyle, who's a professional drummer, also a UTC student, finishing up his music education degree, and I hosted the show this morning. We kicked around a lot of ideas on what we could focus on, and we decided to focus on 10 underrated drummers. We had 10 underrated drummers, not in any order in terms of, but just 10 underrated drummers, different genres, and then played a kind of a signature song, and then would talk about the drummer and what made them unique, why they're underrated, what was their style, what things impacted their style. And we just had a conversation and played 10 songs.
You were dressed up for the occasion.
I was dressed up. One of the drummers was Phil Rudd, or is Phil Rudd from AC/DC. So I wore one of my AC/DC concert shirts from way back.
And I know this because I saw it on the Rollins College social media. So there wasn't anything, no surprise there.
Oh, that's funny that it's on social media. But we had a really good time, great conversation, and hope people enjoy the show.
Talk a bit more about Scott.
So Scott, I met him probably a couple of years ago. I played the drums and took drum lessons as a teenager, played in a couple of bands, kind of moved away from it. With some current health issues, drumming is something that is beneficial. So I wanted to get back into drumming and found Scott, reached out to him. He, interestingly, was familiar with my health issue. He had people in his family that had the same issue that I have, and graciously said, yeah, let's get together, and I'd love to work with you. So started taking drum lessons from him a couple of years ago, bought a drum kit, sold my drum kit back in the 90s. So I bought another drum kit, although it's electronic, so my wife doesn't have to listen to it. It just comes through the headphones. But it's been great. I had to give it up as chancellor, so I don't have the time to take drum lessons. But I told Scott this morning, I said, I'm ready after June 30th. We'll get back to drum lessons once a week. I just enjoy it. I love music. It's just a really enjoyable hobby. Not a good drummer, but I really enjoy it.
Also, at the same time that you recorded with Scott over at WUTC, came the announcement that our own Richard Wynnum will be retiring.
Yes, Richard came in while we were recording ours to do his live show. So he was there promptly at 10 o'clock like he is every morning to do his live show. We got to chat for a few minutes. I mean, he's just a treasure. And I love listening to his shows. I love the conversation he has, the interaction he has with the musicians. Just outstanding. But he's retiring. There's going to be a benefit show for him on June 22nd.
That's right.
At the Barrel House.
At the Barrel House.
And Scott Kyle and the band he plays with is going to be performing there as well. So, but I look forward to going down on the 22nd. Richard's going to be missed. Big shoes to fill there. I don't know how WUTC is going to fill the void that Richard's going to leave in terms of his programming. One
of a kind, and that is a decision that will come after him. In the meantime, between this conversation and that event, you are going to be taking a trip.
I leave for Vietnam on May 28th. and we'll be there through second week of June. So I get back, I think, on June 15th, something like that. Part of it's student focused. So about the first 5-6 days, I'm with students who will be settling in to a summer-long internship. So we go to some orientations with them. We visit their company on their first day on the job, kind of get them settled in. And then I'm going to take a little time and take a little vacation time while I'm over there.
And we're planning to have one more conversation recorded virtually while you're there.
Yes, I think we will have got something scheduled to do virtually while I'm in Hanoi.
Looking forward to it.
Okay, sounds good.
Until then, we'll leave it there. Chancellor Dooley, thanks so much.
Thank you for having me.
Our thanks to Dr. Robert Dooley, Interim Chancellor here at UTC, and all of our colleagues on campus who made this conversation series possible.